It's all for a good purpose. I know you know that.
Oh, no, don't worry about it.
Guys, we laid the wreath over here that we always do. I know most of you didn't get to see it this year because there's a lot of you.
Ask Derek to bring the wreath around.
Hey, Derek, can you bring that wreath over here? But let's don't forget why we're here. Again, you know where this money goes. You know what it's for. And we can't thank you enough. This takes about 10 months of planning. And we don't have any more than 10 months. So I'm glad there's not 14 months in a year. It would take that. But gosh, just thank you guys. You're awesome. I know you're awesome. Give yourself a hand. The women fire guys are first responders, and I know several of you clubs out there were, and I know that you were here that day, and we honor every one of you, and we presented a wreath today to the memorial, and it's just a blessing to be able to come down here and see the calm. I've told you before that it was this quiet the day of the bombing. You could not hear anything. And then at 9:02, hell broke loose. And 200 children lost one of their parents that day. 200 children. 168 people you know died, but 200 children lost one parent. Just, is all we ask is that you never forget. Keep in mind, we hope to make this ride last forever. I hope I'm doing it in a wheelchair maybe, but thank you guys. And Stacy?
Oh, he did not.
All right, guys, get some new material. As we do with all events, ceremonies at the memorial, I'm going to ask you all to join me in a moment of silence to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. Thank you. Well, this day is glorious. The sun has broken through the clouds. We probably have 2,000 people here today, and that is unreal. I'd like to thank Wind and Fire, David, Papa's Leather, Harley World, Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser, and all of the other sponsors who make this event possible. It is a true labor of love. They are volunteers, and just like Willie said, they work all year to put this thing together. So thank you for being part of it. We are so blessed to have you here, to have you see and touch this site today on the eve of the 20th anniversary. You are a shining example of the Oklahoma standard for being here today. So thank you. And I'd like to introduce, not that she needs introduction, but the governor of the state of Oklahoma, our very own Mary Fallon.
On behalf of the state of Oklahoma, I just want to say a sincere thank you. Thank you today for making this a ride to remember. That we let all of our family members, survivors, those that lost loved ones, all that helped on the response after this terrible tragedy that occurred here, to know that we will always remember, that we will not forget. 20 years ago, it's hard to believe that much time has gone by. I was reflecting back where I was 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, we had a prayer service over at the Cox Convention Center, which is just a few blocks away from here. It went from 6:30 to 8 a.m. 1,000 people down at the Cox Convention Center, saying prayers for our state, prayers for our city. And little did we know that 1 hour after that prayer service let out, that we would had the biggest perpetration of evil our state had ever seen, with the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building and loss of 168 lives, 19 children, right on the site. No one could have ever imagined or thought that something like that would happen in Oklahoma, an act of terrorism. And it devastated us. It took our breath away. It took our, probably even tested our faith as people. But today, through this ride, a large group of people, and congratulations on having more riders you've probably ever seen in 8 years come to this. But today, we are sending a signal that we're not defeated, that we haven't forgotten, that we're still Oklahoma strong. And if you want to see hope in a world that's not always filled with hope, if you want to see hope, you look at Oklahoma City and where we are 20 years later, and you can see hope right at this site. You can see hope in the city. You can see hope with all of you. Now, I ran across several of you that told me you were survivors. All of you that are survivors, will you just raise your hand and let us say God bless you? Survivors that are in the audience today, thank you for being here today. I know the Wind and the Fire group, we appreciate, David, all that your group has done to help organize this over the 8 years that we've had it. But to all of our firefighters, our police officers, law enforcement, first responders, anyone that helped during our terrible tragedy here that was a first responder, helped in the rescue efforts, will you just raise your hand and let us thank you? And for those that are in the audience that lost a loved one, our hearts and prayers are still with you. We've not forgotten your loved ones and the tremendous sacrifice your family has made. But today, through this ride, we send a signal that we're still strong, we haven't given up, we haven't forgotten, but we will live on with hope, with that Oklahoma standard of giving and helping our fellow neighbors, which is what you have done today. May God bless you. Thank you all for participating in this ride today. It has been a ride to remember.
Before we take off, Governor, the committee has brought a couple gifts for you.
Ballot for president!
This is a great state of Oklahoma seal with a patch that says forever changed to 902, April 19, 1995, Oklahoma City. And this wonderful pillow says 20th anniversary, 1995 to 2015. And it has a survivor tree, which is right behind all of you, Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum, a Ride to Remember 8th Annual Memorial Benefit Run. Thank you very much.
Before we take off to the other stops, we'd brought Stephen Hale up here to say a few words, and we just want everybody to be careful and to abide by the laws. Make this a safe trip. We don't need any more tragedy. There you go.
You know, there's one that says that they will be killed or destroyed as our nation before by the enemy and by God and for I've been running for about 40 years or so, and I know lots of folks who participated in life, but there's none that I can remember as deeply heart-touching and moving as this one. And so right now, I just want to pray for you. I want to pray for those who survived, for the families, for those who responded. I remember where I was at 9/11 and 9/30 on that day.